Okay, I think I have successfully recreated my face from the last time. So, we are going to select done, do our little in-betweeny thing, and choose to stay in touch with Derek. My feelings for Cove this time are gonna be relaxed and fond. Yeah. In my teens, we're buds. Are you sure? Relaxed fondness? Yes. I don't want to see what's coming. I'll wait. The start of classes ended the relax-free days of summer. It didn't take long for you to get back into the swing of the normal year, or of the school year routine. Normal? Schedules and homework became the new normal. My eyes must have jumped down. Derek wasn't around nearly as much, to his great dismay, and mine. With school itself and after-school activities, there weren't many opportunities for him to take the trip out to your neighborhood. Especially because he was always at some training camp or on a new regimen with a strict schedule. The two of you were usually stuck with merely telling each other about what was happening in your lives instead of sharing your days in the same place. And most importantly, we kept in touch. The Jeremy kid did disappear after that summer, and no one ever heard from him again. Where he went or what he might be up to was a mystery. You saw more of Miranda around. Since you had hung out with her on her birthday, she had opened up to you. The two of you talked regularly. She was the same towards Cove. After a while, all three of you developed a real friendship together. Yay! More summers came and went like the waves on the shore, coming in and out. In your second year of high school, someone new started to visit Sunset Bird, a sunny girl named Terry Brooke. She was a friend Cove made due to them both being ocean-obsessed. Terry was more than glad to befriend you two. Someone close to Cove had to be good company, she felt. You were pleased to get along with her as well. Funnily enough, Terry was also extremely tight with Miranda, who she had known for even longer than Cove. The four of you were able to create a small friend circle. As for your home life, the Wave Riders also had developments. Changing laws and public perception countrywide made it possible for your moms to openly wear their wedding rings without questions. Though they had a wedding years ago, it was only recently that the union was officially recognized everywhere in the US. That was a good day, to say the least. Elizabeth came into her own and stopped being quite as irritable. She'd no longer worried about perceived childishness as she grew up for real. She didn't even mind being called Lizzie again, although most people used Liz. She eventually graduated high school and moved out to attend college in another state. It was a lot for you to adjust to your older sister being gone. Liz never let you forget her role in your life, though, and kept in touch. Kyle's relationships with his family improved over the years. Kyra visited several times after that summer, and things became easier between the two. He was also closer with his dad than ever before. You knew they talked more, and that helped prevent a lot of friction before it could start. And Cove only continued to open up to his parents and the rest of the world. He was so bright, he shone. He would willingly join conversations, make jokes, and put in an effort not to use overly blunt phrasing. I feel like Cove's a little bit different than my Step 3 Cove. Possibly? I don't know, this seems a little different. Or maybe not. Cove had shifted from preferring athletics to becoming more seriously studious as his schooling went on. I think that's the same. Full-grown friendship! Yay! The friendship between you and Cove that you had cultivated for years remained consistent. The two of you were close confidants. It was strange to look back on it all. The future faded into your present, and then it was simply the past. Even the most fundamental parts of your life couldn't last forever. You felt that the most pointedly the day you inevitably graduated high school. It was over, and you would not be going back ever again. From now on, what came next was your choice. You would be directing your own life. That was where you were currently. The summer after school had ended. The first summer of true freedom. What used to be a reprieve from the typical was now going to be your first step into adulthood. Okay. And now we are here. So, I'm going to basically skip ahead to the end of Step 3 and then bring you guys in for Step 4, unless something absolutely crazy happened in Step 3 that I'm like, I gotta share this with y'all. But as far as I know, Derek doesn't show up, so I should just be seeing you when I choose to go into Step 4. So I will see you then. Okay, I had forgotten about a thing, which is I ran into this boy who keeps trying so hard to get me onto his route before his time, and this route is no exception. He's distracting me again, but we ran into him with Derek, so I've got new dialogue for him, and I thought I'd better bring you guys in for it. It's kind of Derek related, because we met him while with Derek, so he might bring up Derek, and so it's all kind of connected, right? I'm not just trying to make excuses to include Baxter in a video, I promise. Okay, he began to speak, but suddenly stopped and closed his mouth. He became absorbed in his own thoughts, tapping a finger to the side of his chin as he stared at you. You shot Cove a confused glance. He shrugged in response. After a few moments, Baxter had that same smile curl from before. He removed the finger from his face and used it to point directly at you.
We've met before.
What?
When?
Baxter continued to smile widely. His head tilted slightly to the side as he studied your visage.
It's embarrassing, but I haven't remembered that part yet.
He laughed cordially, while Cove stared at him in disbelief. Baxter chuckled further, mirth growing at what must have been a very amusing situation in his mind.
I'm getting there. Don't tell me. I know you want to, but do not. It'll come to me.
He continued looking you up and down, hand back over his chin while he racked his brain for answers. And then, recognition appeared in his eyes. Is that what that is? With a snap of his fingers, he announced his revelation as though he had forgotten his own birthday.
The Cypress at the summer soiree. Of course.
Turning away from you, Baxter began rambling to himself about the details.
That had to have been before any regionals, so, at the time I was about 14 years old. That makes it 5 years ago from now, right?
That sounds about right. Cove's mouth fell open.
Are you kidding me? Is he serious? Did you really meet this guy at that country club party 5 years ago? If it helps, you were with another person when we spoke. Green eyes, short hair, short generally, with a cute bow tie, I believe.
Hey, I was also short generally, as I am now.
Oh, so you and Derek? Derek, that was his name.
You don't remember him at all. Whoa! That's right!
Really?
You nodded. It took his explanation to get it, but that memory of the guy you and Derek chatted with was coming back to you. Cove's eyes darted between you and Baxter again. The instigator of this discussion lightly gestured with his hands in response.
It's good not to forget a face.
Cove, remember when I told you the crazy story about Derek and I accidentally crashing another group's party one time?
Yeah?
That's what he's talking about. Oh yeah! I've been wondering about this. Did you succeed in sneaking into our soiree?
I did. Thank you for asking.
Dang it, nice.
Huh. Why were you there? You see, my parents are members of the Cypress. I happened to be in that particular location for an event related to my dance circuit. That was the chosen venue because they already had experience with the business and other branches.
To be honest.
Funnily enough, the entire reason they joined was for the connections they could make with other members there. Looks like that perk has finally hit for me too. Originally, I thought it was only any good since I could occasionally dance there.
Baxter suddenly stopped and stood up straighter. He grinned.
Dance. Oh yes, that's what I was going to say. I'm a ballroom dancer, hence the phrasing earlier. Oh. I don't know much about dancing, but that's pretty cool. It's not hard once you get the basics down.
Cove didn't look convinced at all. Baxter took that as a cue to keep talking.
Well.
He grinned in a way that was rapidly becoming familiar to you.
If either of you are ever looking for a partner, I'm available.
Cove frowned at the overt forwardness.
I
Okay, I think we're back. Yeah, we're back. Okay. Excellent. Well, that was fun. Something to look forward to again in the future. Now, Baxter, go take a break. You're next, okay? Just, like, chill out for 2 seconds. I'll bring you in when we get to step 4. Actually, I lied again, guys. I'm on my way to step 4. I'm in the summer has ended of step 3. I didn't end up doing a lot with Cove, which, understandable. But we're at the beach, and my phone started ringing, and I was going like, I didn't think anything of it, and then it was like, Derek's name pops up. I'm like, whoa, I gotta go reverse. So, I have reversed. We're going to talk with Derek before step 4. I'm so excited. So, here we go. Unexpectedly, your phone started ringing. You dug it out, curious to see the caller ID. Feeling your heart jump with excitement, you answered the video call request. It was Derek! Hey, it's been a while. Oh my goodness. He's so cute! I haven't seen step 3 Derek before. I was unprepared. What a cutie.
Seriously, but what's up?
The voice that came through was much deeper than it had been when you first met. But it still had the exact same amount of enthusiasm of a kid. Oh, you hit me with the winku? You can't hit me with the winku, Derek.
Have you been enjoying these crazy summer days?
Aw, the bottom one's so cute. Would I dare? Let's see, how old am I? 17, 18? Yeah, I'm starting to get like a little more cocky at 17, 18. A smidge. A very, very smidgen of a smidge. Let me just chill for a little. I'll just chill for on this one. It's been memorable, to say the least.
Sounds interesting. You'll have to catch me up on that.
But what about you? How's your summer been? You were beyond curious to know what Derek had been up to since the last time you spoke. He chuckled, noticing your invested tone.
Honestly, I've just been slammed with stuff lately. College applications and scholarship inquiries. What else is new?
Oh, well, I bet you're even more toned now. You flirted. Flirting? Over video call? Scandalous. Yeah, you know what? I'll go for the flirt. Why not? Subtle, smooth, very smooth. What else is new? Well, I bet you're even more toned now. Faintly, you heard a slight hitch in his breathing. You smirked.
You're right about that one. I hope you can see it in person sometime.
Oh! He spoke so softly, it was like he was whispering it to you. There was no stopping the grin that grew on your face. You could only hope no one asked what was so interesting. Don't worry about it. I hope so too. Oh, Derek, I wanted to tell you, I met that boy again. The one from the summer soiree.
Huh? Wait, hold on. I need a second for my brain to catch up.
That was fair. The human mind only had so much processing power, and that revelation was an overload, especially after you just flirted with the poor guy. You waited patiently in semi-silence. He's like processing, accessing memory banks. Some muffled mumbles came over the speaker, as well as a scratchy interference that you suspected was Derek actually scratching his ear near the phone.
Alright, so I'm breaking this down. There was that time you took me to the country club when we were barely teenagers.
Yes.
And I asked you to show me around and we went on a walk.
Yeah.
Then we ended up in a totally different party for a whole other group of people that we weren't supposed to be at.
The confirmation process continued. Right.
In that party, we talked to a kid around our age to ask what was going on, and he told us what I said before about it being a private occasion for people who were not us. It was for a dance circuit.
Yeah. Man, he remembers a lot more details.
That's who you met?
Mm-hmm. His name is Baxter. He rented the house right next to Cove's.
No way! How did you remember him?
He remembered me, and you too.
He did?
You verified reality for Derek for a final time. He did. He said you were short. I'm still amazed it happened.
I bet. That's a flash bomb from the past. Baxter the dancer, huh? Your summer was even more exciting than I would have guessed, and I had banked on it being decently wild.
And yours was exactly as eventful as I thought it'd be.
Yeah, it always is.
The distant tone of his voice made him feel even further away from you than he was. That wasn't what you had wanted, and you attempted to bring the topic back to something cheerier. What's going on with your family? Are Jorge and Nico being good?
My little brothers are little punks, but I guess they're doing alright.
You both laughed at that.
Mom and Dad are fine.
That's great. My moms are too. Turning your attention back to your surroundings, you smiled warmly at your family buzzing around. Towels were laid out, and chairs and umbrellas were being set up. Actually... I'm out with my moms right now. Liz and Lee are here visiting too.
Oh, that's fun, but if that's the deal, I'll let you get back to it.
Are you sure? I don't mind.
Uh-huh, I'm sure. I'm not about to lose your number.
Doll. Okay, bye.
Bye, Molly. Have a heck of a day.
You too. Aw, that's so cute! Hanging up the conversation left you energized and in good spirits. It was exactly what you needed to make this day even better. You hurried over to your mom's and helped put the rest of the food out. In moments, you noticed Cove at your side. Okay, are we not talking about Derek calling? Okay, we may. It hasn't gone back to normal yet. So what did they say?
They're gonna come.
Cool. Thanks for calling them.
No problem.
I'm glad I thought of it. They'll meet us here later today. Shouldn't be too long.
Right. Randy and Terry. There we go.
Thank you.
Something different with Baxter? Oh, right. I didn't do the boating trip, so he's probably like, who's Lee? Okay. Sure. All right, Baxter, you're such a butt. Fine. I'll do this little bit with you, and then I'm skipping. I'm skipping to 4, and we're getting all Derek all the time. It was then that Baxter noticed the faces he didn't immediately recognize from around the neighborhood. He turned up his charm even more for the introductions.
Excuse me, I'm Baxter Ward. I'm sorry we haven't met before.
Well, we're not typically from around this area. Just visiting. I'm Cove's mom. A few giggles escaped Lee as she watched Baxter carefully. When his attention turned to her now, she held out a hand.
Hi.
I'm Lee. Molly's and Liz's cousin. Baxter shook it and then took a step back. Lee's smile grew.
I'll remember that. It's very nice to meet you both.
Oh, the charmer. Alright. I'm moving on, guys, I promise. This time, for sure. Fingers crossed. I'll see you in step 4. Alright, I have made it to the step 4 story selection. Choose an epilogue. Here you can choose which epilogue to play. Note, you can only play one, and then the game will end. Enjoy! Alright, well, I think we all know what I'm gonna pick. Derek! Here we go, we made it! The in-between. I'm so excited. Oh right, I gotta make my character again. I don't think I changed anything. My hair's the same. I didn't get any new scars. Did I add freckles? I don't think so. Glasses, earrings. I think I can just basically keep this the same. I might have changed my ring to a single jewel. Otherwise, everything's good. Okay. Let's hop into it. My feelings for Cove. Interesting. Still have a feelings for Cove thing. Still relaxed, still fond. Yes. I don't want to know. My feelings for Derek. Do we go full on love? We are technically engaged. You know what? I'll do crush. Yeah, I'll do crush. Because I'm probably going to do some AU stuff, right? So when we come back, we'll do like a love version as well. See if it changes that much. All right. I'm ready. Am I still a little nervous around Derek at this point, though? After being... It's hard for me to be nervous around Derek. He's such a comfortable guy. He kind of makes me relax, honestly. It's not like when I was 13. Yeah, 13. Just getting to know him. Like, he's... After all that time we spent together and now keeping in touch all these years, I just find it really easy to be relaxed around him. So I'm gonna go relax crush. You know what? Heck it. Here we go. Yeah. We'll go high initiative. Let's jump in. And so your days growing up in the loving cradle of Sunset Bird came to an end. In the years that passed since graduation, you'd moved out of your childhood home and made your own way in the world. You... lived alone. And you... had... That's kind of neat that you can co-own a business with Cove. That's pretty cool. Had multiple ways of earning income. In the... yeah, give me back the gaming industry. Let's do it. Your family members went through the same kinds of leaps into independence. Liz and Lee both eventually earned degrees and started fantastic careers in new towns. But your moms and Cove's father still lived on the same street as they had for all those years before. It was comforting to know that there were some things that remained in the old neighborhood. And despite the ever-changing reality of your adult life, your friends were still your friends. Though of course things weren't exactly the same for them either. Very recently, Terry publicly came out as a man and switched the spelling of his name to use a Y instead of an I. He also confessed his love for Miranda, which she excitedly reciprocated. They moved in together recently in the city out past Sunset Bird. One person who did disappear into the shuffle of memories inside your mind was Baxter. After his vacation in Sunset Bird one year, he was just gone. That was a loss, you felt. He had become someone you'd considered a friend during those days. Such a butt, distracting me all the time. And then there's what became of the sad little boy you grew up with, Cove Holden. Of course, he was still a very important person in your heart. Yeah, at this point, he's my family. And I like to think we still live pretty close by each other. He truly thrived in his continued efforts of cultivating loving and supportive relationships with his family and friends. You couldn't say his personality had changed exactly, instead it became more refined. Cove was a warm, inviting, considerate man who took the lessons he'd learned over the years to treat the people around him with patience and understanding. When Cove eventually developed a picture of the future he wanted to have as an adult, you could see where he was coming from based on his past interests. Cove got a 2-year degree. After that, he began working full-time at Orca, helping educate the public on ocean conservation and participating in shore restoration efforts. As an adult, Cove also was able to recognize and have diagnosed that he was on the autism spectrum. It was something that hadn't been noticed by his doctors as a child, But he was still the same cove he always was to you, and he was just glad to understand himself better. It thrilled you to see how happy and successful he'd grown up to be. Growth and change came for the Suarez family as well. Mr. Suarez continued to run the scuba shop with Mr. Holden, but that was about the only constant that remained. Go on. They moved to a new condo in Prism, Vista City, as their 3 boys got older and the nest began to empty. The baby of the family, Nicolas, was eventually the only one left at home. Jorge went off to a local college, staying in the dorms. Aw, sweet little Jorge, off by himself. Then there was the eldest son, Derek Suarez. He left the area years ago to attend an out-of-state college on a sports scholarship. Good for him! You kept in touch with him during those days as you had in the past. Derek had since graduated. You were sure he would have success in whatever he pursued. The long-term direction of his career going forward was ambiguous to you, but there was still news Derek had been able to share. He was returning to the city where he grew up in, and as always, Derek had a plan. Of course. Oh, I'm so excited. The foggy and scratched glass door of the bus swung open with a gasp of air, allowing you and the rest of the passengers to disembark at your destination. You stepped from the massive vehicle into the Prism Vista City bus station. Crowds of travelers bustled across the concrete floors. A constant stream of strangers came from hallways, shuttles, and other buses. The station was absolutely packed. It was vacation season. Summer had only just begun, but the Californian heat was already immense. You'd be lucky if even a single day of your much-anticipated trip was under 90 degrees. Arriving was still a great relief. Steaming in the humid bus station was definitely preferable to baking inside the metal walls of the bus itself. So, how close am I? I don't think I would be on a plane, so I'm gonna flip a coin for a short ride or a long ride. Heads for short, tails for long. Hiya! Heads. Okay, nice. It was a fairly short ride over, but still. I didn't take my own car because it would have been even more inconvenient. It was too far for you to have driven. There was no way around the bus ride. You didn't own a car and couldn't drive places yourself. I'll do the top one. You'd be spending your time with Derek. He had his own car. Going in 2 vehicles would make getting around harder, especially in a traffic-heavy city. It was best to save your car the miles. One of your sweaty hands kept a slippery grip on the handle of your rolling suitcase. It was a well-worn piece, frayed at the edges, and with an annoying loose wheel on the left side that dared you to try keeping it moving in a straight line. You'd had it since you moved out of your mom's house, and now it was returning with you. At least to the general area, since you wouldn't be staying in Sunset Bird. Your accommodations were there in the city. All you had to do was inform your old friend Derek you were ready to be picked up. And so, in your other hand was your unlocked phone with the contact screen up. You selected Derek's name, saw the last thought he had sent you, and texted him a quick message.
Good luck on your trip. Let me know when to come by. I'll be ready for you.
I have arrived. Derek! I'm in town now! I kind of love this one, honestly. Derek! I'm in town now! You scooted closer to a wall, positioning yourself out of the path, but in a place that was still easily visible. It took only a minute to get situated, and your phone was already buzzing with a response.
Coming!
You cracked a smile at the screen of your cell and the brief message that lit it up. Then you put it away. He'd be there soon. There wasn't much else to do besides watch the tide of people go by and think. Recollections of how you ended up in that spot came to mind. The 2 of you had consistently kept in touch. He knew what was happening with you, and you with him. For the past months, the catch-up calls and texts you had with Derek included updates on his process of moving. He decided to head back to the city, at least temporarily, to help his dad with his business and work some things out for himself for his own future career prospects. Derek kept you in the loop with his house hunting, logistics, the victories, and the setbacks in making a major life transition. It all came together less than a month ago. The Suarez family was naturally thrilled to have him there. Jorge already lived near, only 40 minutes away, and Nicolas was still at home, so the whole team could be together again. Hooray! The biggest brother was just happy to return to his own stomping grounds after all the years of being away. But it wasn't a familiar locale for only him. Sunset Bird was the next town over. He knew that. Derek's deep voice played inside your head. The animated way he spoke through the phone a few weeks ago was fresh in your memory. He talked about how he'd made it to his new apartment with an extra room and that you should totally come to stay for a while. Oh, really? You'd be able to visit with his brothers and parents and your own parents in your childhood neighborhood, and you'd get to see him too. Finding a hotel in the area was always the biggest problem of coming back home. You had to appreciate the unique opportunity Derek had provided. Though, even if he had lived on the opposite end of the country, you would have tried to make it. He meant more to you than just a couch you could crash on. Seeing Derek was your main priority for the trip. You both worked it out so you could be there. Unfortunately, the other good pal from your youths couldn't make it, Cove Holden. He pouted a little about not getting to see Derek or return to Sunset Bird with you, but he recovered. Especially because he would be coming later that very summer. He simply wasn't able to do it twice in one season. You'd be with Cove then, and Derek would still be in town too. This time, though, would be bonding time for you and Derek. Looking forward to the trip. It was going to be amazing. It was nerve-wracking. It's been a long time. You wondered what he'd think, yeah? You worried what you wonder, you worry. Yeah, I wonder what he'd think. It's been a while. Maybe there would be some surprises for him. He might surprise you too. Those idle thoughts led to idly checking the time on your phone. It had only been about 5 minutes since you sent the text. You put your phone away yet again. It was the grand tradition of being in a bus station, waiting somewhere, checking the time, then looking around. You went back to the third step. Throughout the spacious area, there was plenty of other travelers repeating the exact same process as you. Other than the people filling the space, the scene was virtually unchanged since the first time you'd seen it. You could easily recall the exact day that was, Father's Day when you were 13. Derek had been so thoughtful, inviting you to go over to his house so you wouldn't feel lonely for the holiday. He didn't make you go through any of it on your own. It wouldn't be much longer until he was by your side again. You let out a shaky breath. And then, over the murmur of a bustling crowd, an echoing beat pounded through the air. It was the sound of rapid footsteps against the solid station floor. Pushing off from the wall, you scanned the crowd for the source. It didn't take an I Spy champion to notice the man in a bright sleeveless sweatshirt sprinting towards the bus landing area like he was about to miss the last ride of the day. But he didn't have a map, bags, or a ticket in hand. He wasn't there to go anywhere else. He had somebody to see. And that was you. Derek had made it. Hey! There's that cutie. He neared the drop-off spot while swiveling his head. When his gaze fell on you over to the side, his mad dash abruptly came to a stop. Derek was a solid rock in the middle of a slow-moving river of unfamiliar faces. He'd grown so much, all these tall boys. A sparkling grin broke through the stillness. That part of him hadn't changed. 10 years older, but with just as much boyish charm as ever. They do such a good job of aging the characters up. Like, it's still him, but he looks older, you know? Like, it's just, it's so good. I would have been so excited to see him. I would have been like, Derek's back! With your suitcase rattling behind you, you pushed through the crowd. Derek turned on his heels to change the trajectory of his path. He took bounding strides to close the rest of the distance between you and him. The moment you were upon each other, you abandoned the bag and leapt at Derek.
Whoa!
Whoa! He caught and held you with the expertise of someone who had years of practice with a clingy little brother. Yay, all his training. Though the way he pressed snugly against you wasn't at all the same kind of embrace he would give to Nicolas. Ooh. You hugged him back tightly, taking in his physical presence for the first time in ages. It was a wonderful start to the reunion. Then he set your feet safely back on the ground.
It's been a while, huh?
I would say. With the man himself right in front of you, it was possible to appraise him fully. Your former match in height, or lack of height, had left you behind. Aw, we used to be on the same level, now you're so tall. For the first time, you had to look up to see his face. Derek's back! I gotta. Derek's back!
Yeah, I am. It's good to see you, gal.
Gal. Stop. Derek watched you so gently, his words couldn't ring anything but true. Setting his eyes on you was something he was grateful he could do. And hearing him call you by that longtime moniker really brought it home that you were, well, home. Your anxiety was already fading. Derek just being Derek was the reassurance you needed. Same to you, Derek.
You ready?
Nice. You ready to go? Got all your stuff?
Yeah, it's only this suitcase. Which way are we going?
That way.
Derek rubbed the back of his head as his immense chair chipped away just a bit.
Do you mind having to take a stroll? I didn't bring the car. My place is about a 15-minute walk from here and parking is wild. I would have had to park 20 minutes away just to find something outside of the apartment's reserved spot. That's one thing about this place I didn't miss.
He let out an airy chuckle, still awkwardly scratching at his hair.
So we're gonna have to get in some steps.
What a pain. What a pain in the ass. You can say what a pain or what a pain in the ass. Yeah, honestly, after a bus ride, I'd be grateful to do some walking. Okay. Honestly, it'll be nice to move around after that bus ride.
I got you.
Oh, but... You press a finger to the tip of your chin, thinking. You got here way sooner than 15 minutes. It was barely more than 5.
Yeah.
He attempted to shrug casually, but a smirk tugged at his mouth.
Well...
It's 15 if you walk. It goes quicker if you run. Especially when you're a fast runner, like if you're a trained athlete, for example.
Derek jumped in place to spread his feet apart and strike a superhero pose like he was still a 13-year-old. You goober. What a hunk! Oh, that's great. That sounds like you.
Totally, right?
Once again completely carefree, Derek tilted his head over the way he came.
Let's go!
You reached down to collect your suitcase, only to grasp empty air. You glanced towards the ground just in time to see it rolling away securely in Derek's hand. Ever the gentleman. Hey, get back here with that! Yeah, I literally said that, so I gotta say it. A gentleman as always.
You know it.
Let's, we did the hug. Let's just tone it back just a smidge. Derek had his plan, and that was fine with you, but being left behind wasn't. You moved ahead to join up with your friend. You and Derek left the station side by side and made your way through the vast city. He pointed out a towering building against the skyline in the distance. It was sparkling and new and had to be at least 10 floors. That's where you were going. Having such an obvious landmark to work towards was convenient. You weren't familiar with that part of the city. The condo where the Suarez family used to live was further away from the station. It was certainly very different from Sunset Bird. You easily knew every corner of the town and could go from end to end on foot. But you continued along, certain that you'd make it to your destination. His pace wasn't too fast or too slow. He was conscious of his company and wasn't going to let you get separated out there. Derek chattered lightheartedly as your thoughts were drifting along. It felt completely natural being there with him. He didn't struggle to let you into his world. There was a place he'd left open and waiting for you. Despite how long it'd been, and despite all the time you'd had to spend apart, the soft feelings you had for him never went away. He still made your heart beat faster. The jaunt through the city breezed by. There was so much to catch up on. Even though you didn't sprint, the 15-minute walk still felt much closer to 5. When you arrived at the ground floor of the skyscraper Derek lived in, he showed you right up. Oh, I can't wait to see where he lives. At his front door, Derek fished a key from his sweat shorts. He swung the key on a silver loop around his fingers and joked about his near disaster from earlier that day. He'd run straight out of his house once you texted, and he'd already hit the button for the elevator when he realized his apartment was left unlocked. A very rare, irresponsible thing for him to do. Derek had to bolt back down the hall as the elevator arrived, lock the door, and make it back to the other end before the elevator closed. But he'd made it! You quipped that being on such a high floor really came in handy. The elevator had a longer way to go and gave him more time. Derek nodded with a laugh. Hey, let's take a look. Ooh, I love how you've decorated. It's very cozy.
Welcome to my house.
Derek's apartment was a modern but still cozy space and completely spotless. Not surprising. A balcony wrapped around 2 walls of the abode. Through the crystal clear floor-to-ceiling windows, you could see the ocean.
What do you think?
It's looking good already, huh? Too bad I didn't put any of it together. It came furnished.
Oh, that's lucky. None of this is yours?
Nah. I didn't have a lot of important stuff in my old place. Nothing worth bringing all the way over. And who knows how long I'm gonna be here. Getting new things didn't sound like a great idea. We'll see what happens long term. I might stay longer than I think. Still, at least for now, a prefab apartment it is.
There's a real lack of footballs and soccer balls. It's wonderful.
Thanks. Glad you think so. You're living here too. For a little while at least.
Derek cast his gaze over the room like he was meeting a friend. It had made a good impression on you, and that had him standing proud.
So...
But...
He cut himself off and focused his attention back on his actual guest.
You can have my spare key while you're here, and I'll show you your room so you can put this away before we get distracted.
That was said while Derek lifted up the suitcase he insisted on carrying. That'd be great. You were led towards the narrow hall at the side of the apartment and stopped right at the first door in the path. You'd arrived already. Derek opened the room for you, holding the door until you passed through. You entered your temporary bedroom. He followed you inside, still tugging the suitcase behind him. Whoa! It's like a hotel room in here. What the... Dang, you have a really nice place. The furniture style was a perfect match to the living area. It was easy to see that it had come as a full set. Derek set the bag up against the corner of the bed to keep it out of the way.
Oh, man.
It's incredible that you're here, especially now. Jorge and Nico are both on summer vacation. They're super looking forward to see you. Can you believe they're gonna be juniors next year? Jorge for college and Nico for high school, obviously.
He spoke with an infectious, affectionate enthusiasm. My goodness, that's a tongue twister. Infectious, affectionate enthusiasm.
We used to babysit them, and now they're practically scholars. Not to mention the fact that Jorge outgrew me.
Jorge outgrew you? Stop. He's a giant?
I bet in a couple more years Nicholas will too. So much for being the big brother.
It was a blow to Derek, but he took it on the chin and snorted in good humor. Well, at least you're a giant to me. They're still little babies in my mind. They are. But, as a short, older sister, you'll always be their big brother, no matter how tall they get.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a ponderous thing, hearing about other people getting older and progressing in life. Little Jorge and Nicolas had grown up so much, but the same number of years had passed for you and you were older than them. You were an adult with a full-time job and a place of your own. Your life was just a mess. Things were going alright so far. It'd ideally keep getting better. But you still felt like you were a teenager rather than a real adult. Even up to now, I still feel this way. You weren't sure you would ever reach a point where you saw yourself as completely grown. A pause had formed before you realized it. You blinked and brought your mind back to the present. Derek offered an understanding smile and then spoke to give a different type of offer.
So?
Wanna see the rest of the apartment? I'll give you the tour.
Yeah, that'd be great. You casually went through the still open bedroom door and Derek shut it behind you. The grand tour of the Derek Suarez locale was started immediately. You got to see the scenic guest bathroom with all the amenities, and he showed off the vast end of the hall with a closed door. Anything could have been beyond that point. Your helpful guide informed you it was his bedroom.
Isn't it crazy, having the master bedroom at the end of the hall? Sometimes I still look down there and think that's gotta be my mom and dad's room.
You're moving up in the world. You and Derek strolled back into the main section to explore the dining area and the kitchen. He described the treasures hidden inside each cupboard, and you even got to check inside the fridge. It was difficult to pretend the contents were part of some tourist adventure experience. The only things there, spread out sparsely among the shelves, were water bottles, colorful sports drinks, a jug of 2% milk, a box of salad greens, and a few containers of some kind of packed meals. Derek awkwardly cleared his throat, feeling as if he needed to explain the sight in front of you.
Oops.
I, don't have much in stock right now. I usually eat at my parents' place or get takeout. I'm on vacation, sort of. A working vacation? But I should change that, especially now that there's somebody else here.
He swung his arm to the side to close the fridge, but yanked it back a crack before it shut. The bottles in the door clattered.
Oh, do you need water or anything to drink? I've at least got that.
I'll take a water bottle.
Leave it to me.
I got you.
Derek snuck his arms through the opening and pulled out a chilled water bottle. He closed the fridge for real and straightened out his stance. You accepted the drink from his hand. Considering it was a hot day and we walked over, I would probably want some water. The sightseeing moved back into the living room from there. His fun tidbits there were about which switch turned on which light and how to turn on the fan.
And here's the last stop.
With a flourish, he pulled open the sliding door that led out to the balcony. Derek, I don't like heights. Cool. Derek gestured once more to the wide open door.
After you.
You were losing track of how many doors he'd opened for you already, but you walked through the latest one into the sizzling summer air. Ooh, what a beautiful view. The view was even more breathtaking than you'd realized from the living room. You could see for miles, the sea, the sprawling city, and the rolling hills beyond that. Neither of you spoke for a moment. Derek moved past you and leaned against the railing. He stared out into the vast world ahead of him. Yeah, I'll rest against it. He didn't flinch. Derek welcomed your presence with ease.
This was the part I was the most into about the apartment. Whatever place I got, I knew it had to have a balcony. Even a small one would have been fine, but this one is amazing.
Feeling settled, you sipped at the refreshing water Derek had given you. He pinched his shoulders up and sent a grin your way.
All right.
So that's it. The whole place. Unless you actually wanted to see inside my room.
The suggestion was given with a coy brow raise and a little laugh. I was looking forward to seeing your room.
Then maybe later.
Derek pushed himself up from the bar to stand at his full height.
This is such perfect timing. We're both gonna be in town for Father's Day tomorrow.
Oh really? That is perfect timing. That was right. You'd be present to spend the holiday in person with the Suarez family. You'd only ever stopped being with the Suarezes for that day because you moved. You used to spend that day celebrating with Mr. Holden until you moved away. You hadn't attended a Father's Day event since that first time. I'd like to think that we made it an annual tradition with the Suarezes after that one time. Since Derek's surreptitious invitation to Father's Day that first year you met him, celebrating the holiday with the Suarez family had been a tradition. Derek, Mr. Suarez, Mrs. Suarez, and the little brothers all welcomed you into their family for the occasion, and genuinely. It continued right up until you no longer lived in Sunset Bird with your moms. It was special to you and to them. With how busy Derek got, sometimes those special occasions were the first time you saw him in months, but both of you made time to attend for as long as you could. Then even after you weren't able to be there in person, you still sent a Happy Father's Day message long distance. Yeah, I would send Mr. Holden some cards. Your old neighbor was an important fixture in your life, whether you were across the street from each other or not. You were looking forward to being in town for the occasion, to say the least. Derek spoke up again to elaborate on the plan.
It's gonna be the usual. Just going to my parents' place to hang out. I'm gonna give Dad a tie. You don't have to bring anything. He'll be happy enough to see you.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. I probably would have sent a card to Mr. Holden before I left. I feel like that's something I would have been the most likely to do. It should arrive right on time, so that was taken care of. He rubbed his hands together eagerly.
Phew.
Tomorrow is gonna be a great day. And look at me, inviting you to Father's Day directly like a big boy.
Derek was so tickled inside and out that he scratched his cheek and let out a rumbling chuckle. It's amazing, Derek. I'm proud.
Thanks.
His gaze swept over the city once more as his mind began to wander away from where his body was planted on the balcony.
Man, it's insane how much time has gone by. It's been, what, 10 years since we first met?
Wait.
Oh, 10 years. He whispered the words again with the gravity of a long-lost spell.
10 years. It's been 10 years since that first summer we spent together?
Derek's voice and deeds sped up faster and faster. He ran a hurried hand through his short hair, stumbling back from the railing. Oh no, he's like, abort, wait, he remembered that promise from back then. This is not a drill.
Oh wait, hold on.
He couldn't face you anymore. Derek stared hard at nothing with his jaw clenched.
It felt impossible then, but it happened. We actually became adults. Time's up.
I probably wouldn't have been thinking of it non-stop. What I realized... Nah. I think it would have been, like, with the way he said it, it would have just been like light bulb in my head. You remembered what 10 years meant to you, for him, for the two of you together. The deal. Derek's face darkened, mainly in the cheek area. He was full of an uneasy energy that came out as a constant shifting in the position of his feet.
Oh, man.
That's awkward, huh? I really hadn't planned this out as well as my teenage brain had thought I had.
It was true. Time was up. You and him were an entire decade older than you were then. And more than that, you had gone from being barely older than children to being adults. Derek had graduated high school and college. He had a car, a place of his own. He probably had student loans. It was just as he imagined as a 13-year-old, and it was at this point that he intended to complete his vision of grown-updom by marrying you. Grown-updom. Yeah, this one. You really, really hope Derek wanted to be with you for reasons other than that deal. What did he think of you, really? He picked you out of everyone as the person he'd marry in 10 years, but it was as a backup. maybe you were only someone worth settling with, or maybe you meant more. If he had asked you to be his girlfriend, you would have said yes, but this roundabout proposition wasn't that. Your internal back and forth slipped out in your expression. It looked concerning enough for Derek to smile reassuringly.
I promise.
Look, Molly, it's cool. I'm not expecting you to go through with a marriage pact we made when we were still small enough to fit on child rides at the mall.
He had read you completely wrong, and his attempt at comfort didn't answer any of the questions nagging at you, but you couldn't demand more. If he wanted to be with you and you alone, and for real, he'd ask. Hopefully.
23 is way younger than I imagined. Let's call the whole thing off.
We're divorced now. I really like this option, though. We're divorced now. He laughed and you snickered with him.
Does it count as being divorced if we were only sort of engaged?
It's close enough.
Congrats.
Then alright, congratulations on your divorce.
You too, Derek.
Cool. It's over. That's a weight off my shoulders.
That might have been done, but it didn't change what you felt about him. I mean, obviously he still likes you. If the first thing he thought of at like 10 years is like, oh dang, I made this marriage pact with her. He's still gotta feel some type of way about you, girl. Still, the sun was shining and you had Derek by your side. It was a good day.
Please don't tell my bros about this. 23 is too soon for a marriage backup plan, and it's even earlier for me to end up in a grave from embarrassment.
Oh, don't worry, I'm sure they'll embarrass you all on their own. That's fine. It'll just be between you and me.
Thank you.
Derek rolled his shoulders and then stretched his arms. His eyelids drooped, but you could still feel that he was watching you.
You doing okay?
So, how tired are you after all that traveling? Because if you're up for it, I was thinking we could go see our families today instead of waiting for tomorrow.
That idea had you re-energized and ready to hit the road again. The corners of your mouth curled into a grin. Count me in.
Awesome.
Leave it to me.
I'm gonna call my parents to let them know what's up. I know they'll be there. I'll see about getting in touch with Jorge, too. If we're lucky, we might get a full house.
His mouth cracked into a fond smile.
This'll be quick. You won't even miss me. Or maybe you will. I wouldn't mind that.
You teasingly shoot him away. I won't be able to if you don't go. Get to it.
Right.
True.
Satisfied, Derek pulled his phone out and brought it to his ear. He began to walk away in preparation for the talk. Since he was busy with that, you decided to return to your guest room. You considered freshening up by changing. Tapping your fingers on top of the bag, you cycled through the options in your mind, but nothing felt right. Eventually, you settled on using the bathroom and splashing some water on your face instead. As you crossed the apartment, you peeked over at Derek. There was no way that you could know what was being said, but he shot you an exaggerated thumbs up. You took that as a strong sign that all was going well. Hopping excitedly, you gave him 2 thumbs up back. You couldn't wait to get going.